everyone, this is Lomi, and I recently had the opportunity to nab a doll body secondhand for a whole $45. Of course, she's a bit of a fixer-upper, so today we're going to be talking a bit about deyellowing a discolored doll. Let me begin by saying yellowing is normal and can happen to varying degrees depending on the environment in which your doll is stored, how much sun they're exposed to, and what kind of resin the doll is made from. They also just naturally yellow as they age. This particular body is extremely yellowed, probably mostly from age, as it's an older, single-jointed FantasyDoll body. I plan to use it for Invessi, my soul doll paratisi head, so you can see there's a lot of work to be done. There are lots of options for deyellowing dolls with different chemicals, but after doing some research, I decided to use OxiClean, partly because I already had a sample packet on hand, so I didn't have to buy anything. I dumped the packet into an empty jug and added about a cup of warm water to dissolve the powder. I shook it up to mix it, then filled the jug the rest of the way with cold water and dumped it on top of the doll. Supposedly, that's it. That seems weirdly easy. I don't expect to get the body to a point where it matches the head as is, but I'd like it to be close enough in color that I can just add blushing to either the head or body to make up the difference. 4 hours later, I rinsed the doll off and I was honestly amazed at the difference this made. It doesn't even look like the same doll. But it was still too yellow for what I need, so since she's already had a chemical bath, the only other thing I could do was... Seriously, in the garage to sand a full doll again? I just did this last week. I think I was even wearing the same jeans. Sanding is my least favorite part of customizing, but it's also kind of a necessary evil. Like when I was sanding Rune last week, I started with 320 grit sandpaper. I'll smooth out the sanding marks with 600 grit. You can see that sanding also makes a big difference. Just a very light sanding makes the thigh piece on the left much brighter. Not that the one on the right looks bad. It's important to sand in natural light though, and I know I'll have to go over these parts again later because it's impossible to see if I've got the sanding even by the garage lighting alone. But this is the best place for me to set up to sand right now. I have my sanding box, but I can't do wet sanding in it, so this is the next best choice. It's long and tedious, and I know I won't get this done today, partly because I don't have enough sandpaper left since I had to sand Rune last week. I'll get more soon and finish this body, but this is enough to give me a solid start. Were I not preparing this doll for a head I already have plans for, I wouldn't probably take the time to sand it all down. The OxiClean bath was enough to give great results on its own. There's a little unevenness in my initial sanding job since I ran out of sandpaper, but there's a pretty substantial difference between the sanded parts and the unsanded hands and feet. The hands and feet will be the worst and will probably need a sanding sponge since that can easily go around curves and into the little nooks and crannies. But where I have sanded, the body basically looks new. In fact, it's so light that it now matches the brand new resin from Rillen's new body, which is Mayu Normal Yellow Resin. I think it's safe to say this was probably a normal yellow body too. That means it won't ever match the normal pink soul doll resin, but it's now close enough in lightness that when I blush over the elfier modifications I've started on the head, I can add a hint of yellow to the face and they should be close enough to being a match. Just for comparison, here's a reminder of how it looked at the beginning. Hard to believe the resin was so dark. And then there's what it looks like now. It takes a bit of elbow grease, but honestly, it's not the hardest restoration job. But that's all for today. If you want to see the rest of this girl's customization, be sure to subscribe so that you'll see it coming up in the next few weeks. Thanks for watching! Bye!